So, hello guys, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to do a small revision about SQL. So far we have done SQL and Power BI. So we had a program finishing everything about data analysis in 5 months, and I'm proud of you. So we have made it. We have finished SQL and Power BI, and today I have decided to do a small revision about SQL structured query language, which is very important. So that is what we are going to do. Small revision, a recap of what we learned, basically everything we learned. That is it. So we are not going to reduce something, we are not going to add anything. So we're just going to pick up from where we left, okay? So where we had done already. So that is it. Now before I proceed and start the lesson, I would love to show you guys something today. This is very important. So okay, so okay, okay, so just a minute. Okay, as you can see here, we have what happened to this. Okay, let's just pick up from there. So this is what I have here. So this is just to remind you, okay, about the services that we already have. So we also do data analysis and other stuff. So my free time also design people websites. So if you know someone, can definitely refer to us. So this is just a company that I have started, a website design agency. So that is what it is, just like that. And this is my portfolio services and the projects that I have done. Basically, we design website for people. If you have a product or services that we design for you, an e-commerce website. So that is basically what my upcoming company is about. So if you feel like to, or if you feel like to design a website, or if you know someone who wants a website, please just refer that to me, right? So now let's start the lesson today. Lesson 1: Introduction to SQL and databases. Okay, hope you can see where we are. Right, see it. What is a database? That is the first thing you need to know. A database. So a database is an organization collection of data stored electronically. So it is where we store our data. That is what we call a database. So from the word data and base. So where we base our data, that is what we call a database. So think of it like a digital filing cabinet where we store different types of information. So basically a database is where we store our data, as simple as that. Example, in a company, a database stores employees details, salaries, department, and more. So that is where now the types of data we have in a database. So we can have employee details like salary, okay, departments, and so all of that we store them in a database. Those are data and we store them in a database. What is SQL? So still SQL is an abbreviated uh, version of structured query language. Okay, structured query language. So it is structured query language. It is the standard language for storing data, for retrieving data, for updating data, and for deleting data. Okay, let me just explain to you. And so, as I said earlier on, I said database is where we store data. So if we want to retrieve data, we want to get uh, the details of an employee. So we use SQL to communicate with the database to give us those details, those informations about the employee. So SQL is the language now we use to retrieve data, that is retrieving data. We also say that storing data. So when we want to store our data in database, we use SQL, right? Structured query language is the language that helps us to store our data in database. Okay, updating data. So if you want to update the data that is already stored in a database, for example, maybe an employee left a company and we want to update and remove the details of that employee from the data. So we use SQL to do that. Okay, deleting data. If you want to remove or delete the data, we also use SQL for that. That is what SQL basically is. Okay, so it is known as structured query language, but we call it SQL. After you combine, you take the first letter of the word structured, which is S, and the first letter of query, you take Q, and then language, you take L, right? The first letter in this forms SQL. Here's one example. HR wants to know how many employees they have. They use SQL to ask the database. Okay, and this is the syntax, right, of SQL. So select is a is a is a word that is used most often in SQL. Right? Select, and you will be more familiar with this when you start coding SQL. So select is the most common, right? So HR wants to know how many employees they have, so they use SQL. So they write select, then count all, so it counts all the employees from. Now this is a table named employees. Now you end your syntax with a semicolon. Okay, that is a rule that you should follow. Make sure you end your syntax with a semicolon, right? Why do we need a database? So this is a question that we have here. So we need a database to store employee records, manage product inventories, track customer orders, run reports for management decisions, right? And that is why we need a database. Now, classroom exercise. So this is an exercise for you guys. So I'm supposed to ask students to list 3 places where you think databases are used daily. Okay, if you can answer that, please help me out. Where do you think uh, databases are used, right? Just mention what lets you think. Okay, someone said supermarket, that is correct. And someone said school, that is correct. Right, so that is the belt. Okay, so where we have data is where now we need databases. All right, for example, bank, we need database, right, to store the information, the details, okay, the cards or those terms, right? What is DBMS, right? So once you learn database and what SQL is about, so you have to go ahead and learn what DBMS is. DBMS stands for Database Management System. It's a software to create, manage, and maintain database. Now we use this um, to create and manage, maintain database. So this one is what arrange the data in the databases. So it organizes the data uh, very well, right? It makes the data organized in the database. In the database, we have so many data and we need to organize it so that it is easy for us to find it, and that is what DBMS do, right? So this is when our DBMS comes in, so it manages the data. That is what we call database management system. Types of database management system. So let's check on how many types of database management system we have. We have relational DBMS. We have relational DBMS, okay. It is uses table with rows and column. Now this is the Postgres SQL. This is the one that we use for data analysis, okay. So SQL is a big topic. So now all of them are same, but this one uses tables and tables. So it organizes data in tables with rows and columns, just like the spreadsheets in Excel, right? Arranges the data that way. So that is example Postgres SQL, MySQL, and Oracle. Now we have NoSQL DBMS, non-relational stores and those things. Now example is MongoDB. Memory DBMS stores data in RAM, fast access, example trace. Cloud DBMS, cloud hosted management by provider. Okay, and that one here for Postgres SQL is also there. Postgres SQL is a relational database. This means we store our employee data, structured tables like the one we created, okay? Like the one we created. So the one we created is just like the one we had already seen in spreadsheet Excel. So you see that in Excel we have columns and rows, and that is exactly what Postgres SQL does. Okay. Now let's move on to lesson 3, data types. And excellent. So you're teaching beginners. So this is a instruction that is given for me to explain it to you. So I will give you a very clear, complete, and classroom-friendly explanations of data types in SQL, specifically focusing on Postgres SQL since you are using DB. Okay. So I will include simple definitions, real-world example, when to use each type, notes for students, table summary for classroom notes, optional exercise for practice. SQL data types. Okay, what are data types? So after you learn about what SQL is, what database is, what DBMS is, now you need to go ahead and learn what data types is. Okay, in SQL, data types define what kind of data, exactly what kind of data can be stored in each column of a table. Column, as you can remember, if you can remember very well in Excel, we store the data in columns and rows. So now in columns, the top we have headers, right? Where now we have the title of the column that need to be stored. Now data types come in there, and now it gives what type of data type should be stored, right? That is the work for data types. Data types help us control data in our database. They make sure the right kind of data goes into the right column. Okay? For example, in a column that focuses on 4 numbers, you cannot go ahead and insert name. Okay, so data type is what helps us to avoid those kind of errors. Main data types in SQL. So we have these types of data types. We have almost 4. Okay, we have 4 data types. We have numeric data types. We have character or string data types. We have date and time data types. We have Boolean data types. Okay? Those are the ones that we have. Okay. Now go down there. So in numeric data type, numeric, the word numeric is number. So now this one deals with numbers. If your column has to do with numbers, then you have to include numeric. So when you're writing the code, make sure you include numeric. So now inside numeric data type, we have these types. We have integer, we have serial, we have numeric itself, we have decimal. So let's explain when to use each of these. Integer when you're dealing with whole numbers, okay, such as when you're dealing with age. So we use when dealing with quantity, then IDs. So those cannot be decimal. So when you want to insert a whole number, then use integer. So which is under numeric. Auto incrementing integer. This one is serial, okay? It counts the number 1, 2, 3. So it gives the rows and 1, 2, 3. So it auto increment, right? So let's say you have 20 rows, and when you add another row, then it will count as 21. Now it auto increments. So when to use it? When we are writing employee ID, something like that. Okay, so it is used for primary keys most of the time. Now let's talk about numeric itself. So numeric is about numbers. This one is general. When you combine a whole number and decimal, right? This is what we call numeric. Now they are separated by commas, as you can see here. There is 10 and the 2. Now let me explain to you what this 10 means and what this 2 means. The left side where we have 10, it means we should have 10 digits, and 2 means 2 digits should come after decimal point. Let's go ahead and count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so see there. That is basically what it means, right? So it should come 2 decimal points. So now we have 2 decimal points down there. Now we also have decimal, which is same as numeric. Now let's go ahead and see how it is. We have 8 digits and 2 comes after decimal point. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now 2 comes after decimal point, so there should be another digit here for it to be 8 digits. But make sure you know it, right? So this one, there's some error in the notes, but when you're writing something, when you're coding, make sure you remember that. Okay, it should be 8 digits, then 2 after decimal. That is what it means here. Now decimal and numeric is the same. The one you prefer, use it. Character. Now let's move on to the second data type, which is character, also known as string data types. Now this one deals with characters. Characters are A, B, C, D, right? Letters. Now characters, we have 2 types. Under character data type, we have 2 types. We have char, which is character, and then we have varchar, which stands for variable character. Character stands for fixed length, right? Now, if you use character, then and you put them 13 here, it means you have to use in that column whatever you put there, whatever word you put there, it should not exceed 13 letters. If you use character, that is what it means. And if you use varchar, which is this one, variable character, and you put there 50, it means you can reduce it, right, by 5 or 3, but don't go far ahead. But this one gives you more freedom. Okay, you don't have to be specific. 50 letters, you can reduce 1, you can add 2 letters. Okay, it allows you that freedom. That is variable characters. Okay, not fixed length. Now we use variable characters for names, addresses, and jobs. Okay, now this is where now we can't have same letters. Okay, in our names. Now we are given that freedom now to increase the number of letters or reduce the number of letters when you use varchar. Now in character, this one we use it for phone numbers. I know you're shocked to see that phone number is under character. Well, we count phone numbers as a character and not numeric. Even though it is about numbers, we count it as characters. So that is what we were told. Now phone numbers are fixed in length, okay? And that is why we use character, which is it has to be specifically 13. And in my country, it is 10 digits. Now let's move on to text. So this one, unlimited length string, so notes, long description, product description. So if you want to explain stuff, now you can just use text. Now with this one, you are given freedom. So even not close to or add to 3, not like that. You can definitely write hundreds of letters. You can definitely do anything with it. Now we use this for descriptions, okay, product description or comments, those stuff. Now move on to the third data type. This is date and time data type. From the word date and time data type, this one is about now dates, right? Now under date and time data type, we have date. The first one, date. This one is basically about the date. Now we have the year, starts with the year, then the month, then the date. Okay, we use this for birth certificates, birth date, and higher dates, right? Timestamp. Now this one combines the date, time. It takes this date, then you add the time, right? Now this one is used for updated timestamps, right? Those are what we use for timestamp. We also use for shift, right? So if you're working from 8 to 10, then that is the time you should be there around the company. So we use it for shift start time. Also time we have now, we use it for shift start time. This one now gives you only the time without the date. Now we have the boolean data type. This one now gives you it returns the value if it is true or false. Okay, a boolean data type is used to check if the product is out of stock or not. So we use boolean data type to notice that. Okay, we ask boolean data type, do we still have this product? If yes, then it is true, we still have. No, then it means it is out of stock, then we need to restock it, right? Or buy a lot of that. So those are the data types we have. So we have the numeric, string, date and time, then lastly boolean data type. Okay, it is only 4. Now I would love to ask you guys this question. What data type will you use for employee salary? Okay, anyone answer that? What type of data will you use for employee salary? Okay, I can see this guy says, yep, it is numeric. That is correct. What about employee name? Character, that is correct. Product availability in stock. If you want to check if the product is still in the it is still in stock or it is out of stock. Boolean data type, that is correct. And what about higher date? Use that date and time, correct. Now for comments and reviews, what about that? Text, correct. Now this is a practice table. This one now teaches you now. This is where now we go ahead and learn about the SQL code itself. Okay, we have literally touched everything you need to know before going deep. Now this is now practice table. Create your own table for a student. We will come to that first. Now I would love to explain to you this. This we have what we call constraints. Okay, we talked about databases. We talked about DBMS, data management system. We also talked about data types. If you remember very well. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about constraints. Constraints, these are optional. Okay, it is not must for you to use this. We have primary key, we have not null, we have unique, we have default, foreign key. So now let's define their meaning. Primary key, it uniquely identifies each record. It means something that cannot be duplicated, something that we cannot share. Okay, for example, employee ID. Everyone who works at the company has a unique ID, right? Now, not null, this is another one that I should explain. The field must have a value. It means that the row cannot be empty, so you need to put an information. So it cannot be not null. Unique, all values in the column must be unique. So this one is same as primary key. Okay, the values in a column must be unique. Default, now this one provides a default value, right? So this is if none is given, then this one gives you a default value. Now we have foreign key. Foreign key is a primary key of another table, right? That is used for another table. That is what we mean by foreign key. So just remember the meanings. We will understand more once we go ahead and start to create a table. We said that a table consists of rows and columns. Okay. Let me just go ahead now explain to you what is a table. A table creation. We say that if you are into data analysis, you will use relational database management system. A relational database management system makes use of tables. It means that data is stored in rows and columns, just like spreadsheets in Excel that you have seen. Okay, if you have not seen Excel, make sure you go and check out the video and understand more what I mean by table. So it stores data in row and column. Each column has a name and data type. Each row is a record, right? That is basically what I mean by. Now, basic syntax for creating a table. It means you start with create a table. Okay, you start with this command, create table, then the name of the table you want to give, right? Create table, then the name of the table you want to give. Then you open bracket, then the name of the first column. If you want to give it names or phone number, then the name of the first. column, right? Then the data type. Remember we talked about data types. So we have numeric, we have the character, okay, we have what else? Date, right? We have boolean. So the type of data type that you want to insert that column, then you use it. For instance, if we put here name, then the data type will be character, right? Then the constraints. So now constraints are these things, this primary key, foreign key, are the constraints, which is optional by the way. Now column 2, then you put comma after you finish the first column, then you move on to the second column, you give the name of the second column, then the data type that you want to use in that second column, then the constraint, then all that until you finish the last one. Okay, then you will end with, you will close the bracket, then end with semicolon. All right, so that is how we create a table. Now let's just look at the real world example. This guy has created as a table using real world, right? Data. Now create a table. We said that then you put the name of the table you want. This table is called students. Create table students. Then you open bracket, student ID, serial. Serial, you see that it is auto increment. So student ID, then serial, then primary key. Primary key is that we say that it cannot be a duplicate. So it's something that is unique. So student ID means it is unique. So then that is the first column. We put student ID. Okay. Now move on to this first name. So the second column is about name now. We put Baka 50. You can see this one is a variable character. We can exceed 50 or reduce 50 by maybe 3 to 4 letters. Now last name, that is it. And then the third column we have last name. Then the fourth column is about date of birth. Now this one, the data type is date. Okay, then email, which is then the data type is backup, because you don't know the length of the email one has, because we cannot all be the same, right? Now you can is enrolled boolean. Okay, default, you can see there, this one we said it is a constraint. Okay, true. The data type is boolean data type. Okay, now you close the bracket. So because we opened the bracket earlier on, remember we close that bracket and then we end with semicolon, then you run this code. It will definitely return these details in form of a table, in form of a spreadsheet. That is like Excel, right? Now that you have understood what it is, let's go ahead and give you more information about this now. The constraint, create table, because we have here create table, which stands for the command to create a new table. Table name, we say that the name you want to give your table. Column name is the name for each field, right? Data type is the type of data a column will store, right? Constraints, now option, these are optional. Tools like not null, primary key, those are what we have here. This is the second example we have here. Let's go ahead and look at it, right? Create table employees. Now employee, open bracket, employee ID, then integer, then primary key, right? First name, Baka, that is the first, this is the second column, right? Then the third column, last name, hire date, salary, this is the second last, and then lastly, department ID, right? There's something that I haven't told you guys. So now the last column, you don't put comma. Okay, you just write it the way it is. You write the name of the column and the data type, and if you want to add the constraints, you can add. Then you close the bracket because you have opened it from there. Now you end your SQL query with semicolon to show that that is the end of the syntax. Okay, now this is the explanation for this syntax. Employee ID integer primary key creates a column named employee ID. So here we have employee ID now, and we put primary key, so it creates a column named employee ID that stores integers and unique identifiers each record. We said that primary key is a unique identifier and integer is about numbers. You remember that? First name Vaka. Now the second column is about text up to 50 characters. Now the second column will give you a column named first name. Now we can inside that column we can put characters up to 50, right? Last name also same thing. It gives us a column named last name, and it can run up to 50 characters. Hiring date, this one now is a date format. It gives you the year, the month, the date, so you can definitely put there. Now salary decimal, salary is a number, okay? So decimal numeric value with 10 digits, 2 after decimal point. So this one, as I said, when you put bracket and put 10 then comma 2, it means it's a 10 digit containing 2 decimal points. Department ID integer representing department. So those are the explanation for this syntax. Now we talked about these constraints. We said these were optional, but make sure this one is the most used. Okay, when you're creating a table, make sure your column contains one primary key at least. Okay, make sure you remember that. Now this is creating tables with relationships. So a relationship is a topic that I would love to discuss with you free from this, but let me just give you a hint what it is about, or touch what the relationships is in tables or in even Power BI. What are relationships? What is that? The relationships that we know is about having a girlfriend, having wife, having a friend. So those are the relationships that we know, right? It is almost same as that relationships here. Now we have 3 types of relationships. Okay, we have the first one is one-to-one relationship. The second one is one-to-many relationships. The third one is many-to-many relationships. One-to-one relationship is like the Christian culture that a man should marry one wife and a wife should be married by one man. Okay, one-to-one relationship. One-to-many is for the Muslims culture, and it says one-to-many means a man can marry 4 wives, right? Right, one-to-many, many-to-one. A man can marry 4 wives, but a wife can only marry one man. Okay, I know it's confusing, but it's that way. Many-to-many relationship means that this is not even this is not a religion, by the way. Many-to-many is like you have a man can marry many wives, and many wives and wives can marry many men. So that is what it is, right? So we will talk about that in upcoming lessons to go further in details. Okay, but we have three types of relationship, and these are one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, and many-to-many relationships. Now we can move on. So when you want to link tables, so this one is about foreign keys, right? We said foreign key is a primary key of another table. So now let's talk about this. Create a table, employee, this is the name of the table, then open bracket, this is the first column, the second column, the third column, fourth column. Now finally last we have foreign key is a column that exists in another table. Department ID. So the column, this one here, it is named as department ID. References, it means refer department. So go to a table named department. That is what you're telling your database. Go to a table named department and check for department ID. Okay, that is what it is. So now you then close with a bracket, then end with a semicolon. It will definitely now return all the information that you need. Now let's go ahead and discuss this. This means department ID, this one here, in employees table must watch department ID in department table. Okay, so it's a foreign key. It means it's a primary key from another table. Now we are using it to create a new table. Best practices. Now let's read this. Always use singular table names. So right, employee, department. So make sure you use single. Okay. Though plural is acceptable to employees, departments, but you are told to use most of the time employee single name. Define primary keys for every table. Make sure you have at least one primary key for every table. Use meaningful names for columns. Stop using harmful names or bad manners names. Use a meaningful name. Okay? Prefer varchar over char. Make sure you use variable character over character unless fixed length is required. Use foreign keys for data integrity between tables. Now this is the summary of what we just talked about. So creating tables, it now creates a new table. Primary key, this one uniquely identifies each row. Foreign key links table together. It's a primary key of another table. Now it is being inserted into a new table, right? Not null ensures column cannot be empty. Backup variable length string, it gives you the freedom to exceed or reduce the number of characters. Decimal, precise number with decimals. Date, this one gives you the date values. SQL table creation script. Okay, these are tables that we have here. Okay, it's just what we talked about, so nothing else. So today we talked about how to create tables. Alright, so the next lesson I think we will talk about how to insert values inside the table that we have created. Okay, and we will do practically possible, and after we do this revision I was thinking about now going ahead and teach you how to get a perfect CV template that will give you the job, right? And where to apply to, and how to design portfolio for data analysis. Now with that being said, thank you so much for attending today's lesson. I have nothing to add up to there unless there's something that is needed. So I would love to remind you guys about the services that I have started. Okay, so it is about web designing. If you have a product or service that if you have a business, I mean if you have a business and you are looking for a website, then go and contact us. Z2A also do that. Okay, so this is our PDF. So everything you need to know about of company, and this is the portfolio, some of the projects that we have created. Okay, now if you're also looking for books, or you want to learn data analysis, make sure you join our Discord. We have free resources, free books there. And thank you so much for you guys. Okay, Jonathan. Okay, please, do you have WhatsApp or Facebook group? Yeah, we have a Discord, brother. So just go to my YouTube channel, then there's that Discord. Just join that, okay? You will definitely benefit a lot. There are so many people in that Discord that want to help beginners like you, okay? They give books for you. They also motivate you. If you're stuck somewhere, you can also even talk to many people will help you. Okay, today I think we touched a lot of stuff. We talked about everything about SQL and those stuff. If there's nothing else, we can end the lesson here. So, Jonathan, please join that Discord, okay? Or let me check if I can send you the link. But it is in the, just if you go to my channel, you'll definitely see the link. You can definitely join from there. Okay? Thank you.